My name is Charlene Shields. In today's episode, we will discuss some of the United States President Trump's foreign policy. Since Mr. Trump took office, his actions have been nothing but controversial. The President's America's First blueprint seeks to place emphasis domestically rather than internationally. This has complicated the international arena, where historically the US has been a key player. Today, we ask whether Trump's policies will shape the international arena to its core, or will Mr. Trump adapt to the system? In order to review our topic, let's see 5 key points that compromise the United States foreign policy. Trump's administration has been based on the assumption that multilateral institutions make America weak. He has pointed out many times that he believes that these institutions are wasteful and full of bad deals. The administration's proposed budget plans to make significant reductions to funding to the United Nations, the World Bank, as well as programs like USAID and the United Nations peacekeeping operations. According to the White House, the United Nations missions have outlived their usefulness and may need to be shuttered or shrunk. This decision reflects their desire to abandon America's traditional role as the savior of the oppressed and embrace that of a military powerhouse to be feared. To explain better why these decisions endanger the United States' role in the international arena, we are going to interview Dr. Sandro Kant from the University of Königsberg. Hi, Dr. Kant. We are calling from Washington to ask you your point of view about the role of the United Nations and international organizations with the new administration.
That's a complicated topic. We liberals consider that soft power is cheaper than hard power, and it's a necessary complement to it. Multilateral institutions enhance the United States' influence in the world without force. Remember that this creates a series of feedback loops, which means that the international organizations help strengthen trade and democracy to create a peaceful system. From our perspective, what Mr. Trump is doing is incorrect, in the sense that it will not help the system move in the direction of perpetual peace.
Thank you, Doctor, for sharing your opinion. Have a nice day. Let's continue. Since President Trump took office, he has told several newspapers that NATO is outdated and obsolete. He also reiterated concerns that other member nations aren't paying what they should be. However, there are recent signs that Trump may back off his concerns about NATO. Trump's Defense Secretary, Jim Mattis, has confirmed the US unshakable support for NATO. Even though the United States' role in NATO was reaffirmed, European leaders fear that the President sees allies as a potential burden, and if this is the case, he wouldn't hesitate to hurl them to the wolves. Alarm signs have also been triggered in the moments in which Donald Trump expressed his interest in strengthening the relationship with traditional rivals like China and Russia. President Trump has proposed to increase military expenditure, claiming that the US has fallen behind in its nuclear weapons capacity and urgently needs to regain supremacy. Trump states that the New START treaty, signed by the Obama administration, favors Russia. This has raised concerns among the international community about a possible race for arms and further proliferation of weaponry across the globe. We have another guest in our show to complement this topic. Let's welcome Mr. Mario Jose Morgenthau from the University of Berlin. It's a pleasure to have you here with us, Dr. Morgenthau. Do you agree with President Trump's willingness to use force instead of soft power?
To introduce this topic, I want to clarify that for us, realist soft power doesn't exist. Mr. Trump sees the world as anarchic, threatening, and inhospitable. In this world, instead of pursuing traditional American objectives, it is necessary to pursue interests narrowly, unilaterally, and with the use of extreme forces. Doesn't go far from our perspective. We know that power is the currency of international politics. If the United States wants to maintain its position as a hegemon, it needs to increase its military capabilities in order to survive in the international arena. In addition, I would like to say that Trump appears to be taking an offensive realist approach to the New START treaty to maintain advantage over other states.
Thank you, Doctor, for your perspective. Let's move to our other key point. President Trump has made it clear that one of his foreign policy priorities is to demolish and destroy Islamic terrorism. Recently, US-Russia military cooperation against ISIS has been viewed by the international community as a grand bargain. However, following US airstrikes to Syria after the use of biological weapons by the government of Bashar al-Assad, this cooperative relationship has been strained. To complement this topic, we now hand over to Morgenthau and Kant for a brief discussion. Welcome back, doctors. Do you consider that the US actions in Syria are appropriate for the current state of affairs?
No, the US actions in Syria are violating international law. This has created a hostile environment, which may strain democracy, trade, and weaken international institutions.
Be realist, this is a strategic move. As the famous Chinese proverb says, to kill a chicken to scare a monkey.
What chickens and what monkeys?
This is an analogy. The chicken in this case is Syria, and the monkey is North Korea. The US is sending a warning message. If the dictator continues to threaten the international security, the United States has the weaponry to intervene.
Regardless of this being a strategic move, it is causing the US to lose legitimacy.
Okay, it seems we cannot find a common ground. Thank you for your opinions. Moving on to trade policies, the administration argues in favor of protectionism and has asserted that decades of free trade policies caused the collapse of American manufacturing. The Republican administration has declared plans to aggressively promote and use American-made goods. However, this policy is potentially threatening to the stability of bilateral agreements. We have brought Dr. Carl Escobar from the University of Bonn to present a different perspective. Welcome, Dr. Carl. Do you think that Trump's protectionist intentions appeal to the communist perspective?
Hi, thanks Charlie. It will seem so. However, in reality it does not. Let's take the most central component of Trump's economic policy, which is to create infrastructure and jobs by boosting the number of public-private partnerships. Unfortunately, Trump's economic policy benefits the private sector and not really the proletariat. In other words, it's making the rich people richer. He has also expressed his intention to reduce taxes for the rich, which doesn't agree with our perspective. Therefore, no matter how many times transatlantic states change the guards through voting, protesting, or writing letters to Congress, there will be always another Trump, Hillary, Cameron, Holland, or Merkel to take the former's place, with twice the illusions of greatness. The material foundation of this system will remain, which is unmitigated anarchy of capitalism.
Thank you, Doctor. We have finally finished up our key points. Let's conclude by saying that despite Trump's controversial policy approaches, not all is as bleak as it appears. Thankfully, the US Senate's checks and balances on executive power have already prevented controversial immigration policies from being orchestrated. However, it is still early days in the Trump administration, and it remains to be seen what the legacies of this administration will be. Here, we leave you with this information to ponder what the future of US foreign policy will hold. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and see you next time.